Captain. I'm the board game captain, and today I've got a bit of news. So yesterday I received a press release from Free League Publishing that was entitled Free League Signs Deal to Publish RPGs in Tolkien's Middle-earth. So, of course, this caught my attention. Unfortunately, I didn't have enough time yesterday to film a news video on it. But here I am. And the full body of the press release explains that Free League Publishing announced that they have signed a partnership with Sophisticated Games, who are previously the makers of the One Ring role-playing game. So they already had the rights to make Lord of the Rings role-playing games. Now they've signed a partnership with Sophisticated Games to make a new edition of the One Ring. But the way this makes it sound, it means they could actually do a lot more exploring in the future of the Lord of the Rings world. Let me read the press release to you here. It says, Free League Publishing today announced a partnership with the Sophisticated Games to publish tabletop role-playing games set in Middle-earth and based on the books by J.R.R. Tolkien. Francesco Nepetilo, author of the game series along with Marco Maggi, will continue as its lead designer. We are thrilled to be working with Sophisticated Games and Francesco to bring to life a new edition of the One Ring and its 5e iteration. We grew up with J.R.R. Tolkien's iconic works, and we're huge fans of the original version of the game. We have a very similar approach to game design as Francesco, and we're convinced that we can create something truly special together, Free League CEO Thomas Harrison says. Free League shares all our values which are vital in interpreting the most extraordinary fantasy world ever created, one that is of enduring interest throughout the world in every language. Working with Free League's highly talented team, we look forward to continuing the work began a decade ago with the publication of The One Ring, says Sophisticated Games MD Robert Hyde. The agreement will go into effect from June 1st, 2020. Products and release dates to be announced. So, all right. Now, there's a couple important things you got to glean from this. It's a fairly short press release. They're just initially announcing the partnership. So, now, from what I'm gathering here is that Free League didn't actually get the publishing rights to Lord of the Rings. What happens is, for publishing Lord of the Rings role-playing games, it would appear that it is Sophisticated Games who has secured and held the rights for some time. What it is Free League has got a partnership with them and therefore can co-publish their games. Now, Sophisticated Games is a company that has been publishing in several different iterations the One Ring role-playing game. Now, the One Ring role-playing game is not a game that I have played, so I'm not familiar with the system, but I can tell you that the One Ring role-playing game has won quite a few awards. So I see that in 2011, they won the Origin Awards Best Role-Playing Game. Well, excuse me, they didn't win. They were a nominee for the Origin Awards Best Role-Playing Game. In 2012, they were a nominee for the Golden Geek RPG of the Year. In 2012, Lucha Games gave them the Best Role-Playing Game award. They won that, actually were nominated and then won that award. Also in 2012, they were nominated for the UK Games Best Role-Playing Game. So in 2011 and 2012, they were nominated for quite a few awards, did bring one award home. But that means they were recognized as one of the best games to be coming out around 2011, 2012. Not sure what the actual publication date was here. So they've done a couple different, it seems like they did one edition of the rules so far. They had a couple different ways that they released it. They had some, early on they had released it with several books and then compiled them in a slipcase. And then later they released a single book which contained all of what was in the previously in the smaller books that were in the slipcase. They released one large hardcover edition, but now it looks like they're going to be working with Free League to rework it into a full new edition. And not only that, for you fans of Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition rule set, it sounds like from this press release they're at the same time going to be releasing a 5th edition rules version of the One Ring. So now, while I have not played the One Ring, I am very familiar with the Lord of the Rings universe, having read all of the books and, of course, seeing the movies many times. When they came out with the live action movies, that was incredibly exciting for me because I've been reading the books since I was a kid. Now, while I have not played this rule system, I will have to say that I'm very excited for a new edition of this system, simply because it's going to be being co-done by Free League. Free League has an amazing track record with their role-playing games. They've made such amazing games as Mutant Year Zero and Tales from the Loop, and of course, most recently and most relevant to this situation, they made the official Alien role-playing game, which, again, was working with an official IP, and that game is fantastic. And that is the game that specifically has me excited for this game, because their work on the Alien role-playing game was just amazing. So I can't wait to see what kind of work they do on this, along with the designers from the One Ring, which they are working with. I think it's pretty freaking amazing, and this could be really, really cool. Lord of the Rings, again, Lord of the Rings is the original fantasy universe that all modern fantasy has been sort of based on, and is the original inspiration for the first modern role-playing game, Dungeons and Dragons, which was heavily based on Lord of the Rings. So I can't wait to see this new game. I will keep you guys updated if new updates arise. This is all the information we have right now. We just know specifically that they're going to be doing a new edition of the One Ring, as well as a version of the rules to use the 5e rules. So I'm very interested to see where this goes. And plus, since they are now working with them and have a license, and they have said they have the rights to make Lord of the Rings role-playing game books, I wonder if they even have more things planned in the future. It is a big universe and a great one to be able to do material in, so I'm curious to see if they're planning to do some, maybe with different rule sets and such. They're already doing 2. If those are successful, they might go on and do some others. So I'll keep you updated as we find out what products specifically are going to be released, and tune in and watch for future news. And until next time, game on.